Sarah Louise Ackrill, and I'm an autistic entrepreneur. Today, I decided to do a talk about neurodiversity, as I would say that's definitely my area. It's what I'm sort of known for. My background is as a therapist, but also in disability coaching, employment, recruitment, and therefore the element of neurodiversity that I'm most interested in really is helping people to understand it so that they improve relationships really with their employees and their new hires. There's a lot of buzz around neurodiversity at the moment, but I think that there's not enough of it coming from autistic people or neurodivergent people themselves. And so I hope to give you a unique insight that's a bit below the surface of the generic stuff that you see out there. So just to explain, neurodiversity encompasses autism spectrum disorder, which used to be partly Asperger's, which is what used to be called high functioning autism. Basically, within autism, you have people who have an IQ deficit, and you have people who are average or above, but then it doesn't make you more or less autistic. It just refers to, in the old days, it referred to whether you had an issue with an intellectual issue as well as the other bits that go with autism. But now everyone has autism spectrum disorder if that's what they're diagnosed with. It also encompasses ADHD, sensory processing disorder, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, and other conditions on the spectrum. Many people have no diagnosis who are neurodivergent, and this is a very key thing. And many people are diagnosed in their 30s or late 30s to their 60s. I know that in private practice, I get a lot of people who are sort of later on in life and who are struggling to make sense of all the unnecessary stress and hardship they went through not knowing what was kind of up. I was diagnosed at 38 and I'm now 42. I've actually only ever seen people who are neurodivergent in my therapy practice, and I've been practicing for over 9 years. I also train employability to youngsters who are on the spectrum. So I hope that that's useful in terms of some very specific and non-generic autism lived experience informed tips for getting on with neurodivergent employees and making everyone feel welcome. But I do think that the same level of attention, if it's paid to different disabilities, and all you have to do is ask the person, what do you need? That in itself, that one sentence, what do you need right now, just automatically shows caring without any of us having to be experts in each other's conditions. And there we go. I hope that that's been helpful and not too overwhelming. I try not to give you the full autistic brain dump as we are known for. And I'm really happy to take questions.
Hi. I'm just wondering, kind of on your point where you mentioned that a lot of people that are neurodiverse are really hard workers, but we also have to be cognizant of kind of checking in with people. I mean, also with this hot topic of like mental health now being at the forefront, we just need to check in on people, period.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, with businesses kind of now understanding that that's a huge need, how do we build in the infrastructure to keep that and then hopefully keep that moving forward?
So I think that the out of hours communication is a really big one. I think also letting people work more flexibly and acknowledging that. So for example, if you're not neurodivergent, if you're neurotypical and you're working every hour God sends, yes, that is going to lead to a form of burnout. If you're neurodivergent and your boss is saying, I'm going to take super good care of you, and at 5 o'clock you turn that laptop off and go and have time with your family, you want to kill someone and you feel incredibly depressed because your need for stimulation and intensity is so overwhelming and you feel such a buzz and you're so happy doing what you're doing. Somebody taking you out of that flow, it feels quite criminal, and that's not good for your mental health if you're neurodivergent. That's where the overlap is. So what you can say is, okay, I acknowledge that you work all these different hours. So what we're going to do is we're going to boundary it. We're going to make sure you schedule your emails so you're not, other people don't feel obliged to reply out of their hours. We're going to make sure that if you tell us you've worked through the night, we're going to believe you and then let you come in at midday the next day. And then you're only working normal hours. You're just doing them differently. I actually have a signature that says I'm neurodivergent. Please be conscious that, I may take downtime in the day. I may then work when you're not working. Please don't feel under pressure to reply outside of your own working hours. And I get loads of people say, oh my God, I'm going to copy that too. It's just accepting difference, communicating it, making it easy for the person to be different, and then essentially giving them a level playing field so they can be like everyone else and not making a big deal out of it.
Do you think it's more from the action should come from the person, or it should come kind of from management, like top down? What is kind of the first step to be like,
it depends. I mean, if the person's ended up having a meltdown at work or something, I think that it's for an employer to show sort of you know, due diligence and find out what's happened, because, you know, a lot of neurodivergent people, they don't know they're neurodivergent until they have a crisis, until they get fired, until they get divorced, until, you know, there's some major issue in their life. So you may well find yourself on the end of behavior that person themselves doesn't understand. And I think the main thing that makes a difference is seeing the good and not assuming that person is attention seeking or angry or aggressive, and just saying, I'm sure that you're, you know, because, you know, there's that expression, all behavior is communication. I think if you just say, look, I'm sure you're not feeling great right now because you don't seem yourself. I'm genuinely concerned, but I'm not making any judgment on what you're feeling or how you're saying it. I would like you to just tell me, and let's work together and let's work through this, is what I would do personally, if that answers the question.
Is there anything specific we should worry about with Zoom calls and working remotely, or is it actually a good environment?
One thing I think is very important on a technology front is that a lot of neurodivergent people, they need to have their screens off when they're on Zoom, or to be shown how to just do it so you're not looking at yourself or the other person, or whatever it is they find overwhelming. But I do know that when I'm training, for example, I say to them, and I run neurodiversity groups socially as well, and I always say, you come as you are. If you need to turn your camera off, it won't be seen as a bad attitude. It will just be seen as you prefer audio. And it's, again, assuming the best and saying and making it accessible. I always, one biggie is never open the Zoom call until exactly the time you said, because our worst nightmare is the Zoom is at 2, you open at 10:02, and I'm there like being all, you know, a good girl because I'm on time, and then you just randomly let me in 10 minutes early to chit chat before the actual remit starts. Oh my God. Because I'd gone in as a spectator, it was like watching a carnival and finding out you're part of it. It was like, no. So that was really weird. So I think always do what you say. So if it's a 10-minute Zoom, you're not doing any favors by opening the doors early, and also send an agenda so it's very clear if there's mingling time and if it's obligatory, because I'm really good on networking, but I need to know I am networking. I need to know that's my head I've got to put on, you know. I can't just switch between those mindsets. And I think another thing with the pandemic is a lot of people have made assumptions about neurodivergent people. They've thought, oh, well, they're not very sociable anyway, so they're probably fine at home. And actually loads of neurodivergent people are super sociable. I've loved being at home, but that's not the case for everybody. And also, we have this thing where we tend to think we don't miss people, but just sitting in a cafe with a book, not participating with everybody, but having that buzz, that still means you miss people, but in your own way.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's quite a lot of nuance, I think.
Great. Well, thanks for. Is any more questions from anyone?
Yeah, really appreciate
that was
it.
really
Brilliant.
interesting.
Thank you so much.